Hi everyone, and thanks for joining me for the new moon in Taurus. This is occurring at May 11th in the Eastern Time at 3 p.m. The times may vary, will vary for sure, not may, will. So we've got this new moon at 21 degrees of Taurus, and we've got the Lilith joining right in with it. So this is always a new moon in Taurus. It's a good time to plant your garden if you're in the Northern Hemisphere. But also, the new moon in Taurus is grounding. It's grounding in the energies. So it's grounding in a new vibration, a new energy, a renewal. There's a renewal. As we in the Northern Hemisphere are in the spring and we're in the early, Taurus is only the second sign of the zodiac. So it's, of course, we're grounding in this new energy. And Lilith is there too, and Lilith is very much, an empowered, she's empowered. And she was empowered in a different, very different kind of energy than we walk around in the modern day. When I tune into past lives a lot of times, I'm kind of immersed in the energy. And you can just feel the heaviness in a lot of these time frames, especially, well, not especially, there's not any one particular, but even just thinking back, or even just watching, for those of us who are old enough to remember, like stuff from the 60s and the 70s, or even the 50s, if you can remember that far in this incarnation, when you watch old films or old like ads on TV or different things, you're kind of taken back to that era, and you can kind of feel the heaviness or the oppression, almost, in a way, the oppression that we have so much more freedom in this time frame that we're in now, in the 2010s, or I don't know what we call it, or 2000, and we're actually in the 2020s, yeah. Yeah, but we have so much more freedom in this day, as I'm recording the video, let's just put it that way, and we forget about that. Like, I watch these things like from the, the 70s and the women's movement, being a female, obviously incarnate in this life, and think back to the different things and how, even just pre-Me Too, how different things were. And we accepted it as normal, but it was really a very confining and restraining energy. And Lilith, especially regarding like feminine things, such as women's rights and so on, Lilith was, right there like thousands of years ago in the mythology. She was right there, fighting the good fight, or whatever you want to say. Claiming her power is what I like to say. That we don't have to put the words fight into it, because that's not necessarily a thing. And that's probably not even the best way to go about it. It's just about calling in your power and being centered in that unwaverable, knowing who you are, sovereignty or whatever. So, that's very much a thing right now. We're grounding that. And Uranus is in Taurus too. And that's one of the things that Uranus can really do. It's not great in the sign of Taurus. It's a very different energy, as we've discussed before. Uranus is very, almost, it's not in opposition in the wheel, astrology-wise, but the energy is very much like the opposite of Taurus. Taurus, of course, is the grounded in the earth, very much a part of the Gaia and the Pachamama. And the Uranus is out in outer space, So, but that is one of the things that Uranus can do. It can ground these higher frequency energies into the 3D reality. And, I mean, Lilith was in the future, in a way, as far as her thinking and her beliefs and her actions. So it's bringing the future, creating a bridge, or bridging the gap between the future and the current reality we find ourselves in. And future is not, we don't even have to call it future, but that's just maybe a good way to kind of hone in on what I'm circling around here. But it's just advancement, it's futuristic, or advancement, or higher dimensional, it's more advanced, and bringing it down into its enlightenment. It's bringing enlightenment. It's piercing the veils of higher consciousness. That's what I want to say, yeah. At 4:44, I said that. Yeah, cool. Yeah, that came through at exactly 4:44. So it's piercing the veil of these higher consciousness, and bringing it down into our 3D reality, which we're straddling. You know, it's funny, it was 444. You know, where many people, we believe that we're straddling these dimensions, you know, from the 5th dimension and so on. So this is a time to really do that, you know. And if you've, by the same token, or maybe not the same token, but another expression of this, what we're just talking about, too much Uranian energy and too much Aquarius energy, that can really get you kind of off kilter, you know. It can be hard sometimes to be grounded in the 3D reality. That's where a lot of times we get like anxiety attacks and things like that. So this Taurus energy can help pull us back down if we get, you know, a little too far out there. We like the way they're showing it to me is like a fishing reel, not a fishing reel, but when my dad was little, when my dad was little, when I was little, my dad would. I was just thinking about this, going kite flying, and we used to go kite flying all the time and build kites, and he rigged this fishing fishing reel with fishing wire because it was real light for our kites. You know, everybody else back then was flying their kites with this big heavy white string, and we were out there rocking our fishing reel, you know, with our thing. So, but that's what they're showing me, reeling back in, more like reeling back in the kite. Not that it's not good to fly, you know, and shoot for the moon and the stars and all that good stuff, but sometimes we gotta reel it in. Sometimes we gotta reel it in and bring it back into this grounded energy, and it is a very tight conjunction with Lilith here, you know. Uranus, it's 10 degrees. I wouldn't even call that a conjunction, but it's in the mix, you know. It's Uranus is in the Taurus, there's a Taurus party going on, and Uranus is definitely an attendee, you know. Another big thing that's happening right at this moment is that we have the Venus is in Gemini too, approaching the North Node, but again, a pretty tight conjunction here with the Mercury in the North Node, and that brings me back to like speaking your truth. You know, speaking your truth. Speaking your truth, maybe that's been, you could look at this a few ways. You know, you can look at it like, well, maybe I've not been speaking my truth, I've been biting my tongue or holding back. It can be like that. But more so, it's speaking, you know, it's finding that truth and then speaking it, or being in line with it. Getting your mind, Mercury is speaking, but it's also like mental, mind, how your mind thinks. And many times when we are, you know, in that, like what I was just talking about, when you're in an anxiety attack, or you're experiencing, maybe not, I won't call it an attack, but if you're experiencing anxiety, a lot of times it's because your mind is just going apeshit, you know. That mind just starts running, that, you know, what about this, what about this, what about this, you know, your mind just starts freaking out and going crazy, and just, you know, Mercury can be like that. It can just be like, you know, talking a mile a minute, or your mind just is overthinking things. And a lot of times, like, the best way to get out of that, well, is to breathe your way back into reality. But it also can be like, get out in that earth, put your feet in that earth, ground. You need to be grounded. A lot of times what's happening is you're ungrounded. A lot of times what's happening, though, and I've come to realize this over the last year, when, you know, with the 2020 and everybody freaking out about everything that was happening, and I think this thing, when you're experiencing anxiety, a lot of times it's a purging of the fear. And, you know, people will take drugs and stuff, and that does relieve the immediate symptoms of the anxiety attack. See, I keep going back to calling it attack, because it does kind of feel that way. But what I've found is, it's just fear coming up. And what I would just do is just lay on the couch and, like, just, okay, this is fear coming up, and just let it, almost like you're laying there vomiting even, you know. But you're not vomiting contents of your stomach, you're vomiting, it's a purging, you know, you're purging this fear. And I even, like, put my mouth, it's like, it feels like it comes out of my mouth, because it's like mind, mental, Mercury, oral, you know, your throat chakra, what you say, you know, what you think. And I just lay there with my mouth open, and I can just feel it all just kind of like coming out. But, you know, sometimes there's a lot of it that has to come out. Sometimes, you know, it's not just like, okay, I purged my fear and now I'm fixed and now I'm healed, you know. There's a lot of it that has to come out. And, I mean, of course I know that drugs and stuff help people with that, but, you know, I refuse to take them. You know, and I feel like I see what's really happening. It's a cleansing. And when I go for myself, like, because I take no drugs whatsoever. I take a baby aspirins for, occasionally, half a baby aspirin, but I mean, I don't take any pharmaceuticals. And even when I got that vaccine, I'll tell you, I could feel this foreign invader in my body. And that's what I've had a prescription for anxiety meds, and I take an anxiety med, I can feel this foreign thing in my body. And what it's doing, it's fighting against what my body naturally wants to do, and what my body actually needs to do. And that's another thing about all this Taurus energy. It's very much listening to your body and really being in your physical body. And my body needs to purge this old fear. And this isn't just, what's not even just about the pandemic. It's about everything going back in your own childhood and everything. But it's all because it's in your physical body. That's a lot of what the guides have been talking about lately when I was doing the channeling stuff. This is ancestral. It's in your DNA. It's in your genetic makeup. And you're purging not only the anxiety and trauma of your life and your early childhood, but all your ancestral karma going back, forever. And then, when I'm saying, like, how it's like, well, it's over, I got it out. It ain't over till it's over. That's what it is. And but it's a clearing. It's not an easy thing to like experience and go through. This clearing of energy, whether it's through anxiety or however it manifests through in your, it's not an easy thing to do necessarily, but it's something worth doing. I feel like it's something worth doing because if you wanna, I'm hearing that song, if you wanna get to heaven, if you wanna get to heaven, da 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 da. I don't remember the rest of it, but heaven, or whatever you want to call it. I probably wouldn't call it heaven, but if you want to get to these higher dimensional realms, this fear and this earthly stuff, toxic, bad buildup of stuff is what's really, it's holding us back from really, excuse me for 1 second here, from really, getting to these next level of consciousness, next level of human evolution, next level of ascension. These things, but it's a dance, it's a trick, it's a dance. You want to stay grounded in the earth, but you also want to ascend. You want to, through ascension, you're releasing a lot of these toxic emotions and fears and built up things in our bodies. But then the Taurus energy can want you to, like, no, stay. It's fixed. It's fixed energy. Taurus is fixed energy. No, let's stay where stay the hell we know, or stay in what we know, because there's what's next is the unknown, and there's fear surrounding that. There's a lot of fear surrounding that, of letting go of the unknown and releasing, straying away from what's known is scary. It can be scary for a lot of people. Okay, so we get into this for everybody, not a lot of people. We get into this, and we've also, with these nodal energies, this Mercury with the node, we've got Chiron in the mix with this too. So that goes back to this, like, we're speaking our truths about our wounds, because for so long, many of the things that have been, and through ancestral, wounding and healing, it's all, we don't talk about that, that's family, that's private, which I'm actually a big advocate of. I don't like putting my business out on the streets, never have, or posting on social media or anything like that, but that doesn't mean we don't, we hide it, or, a lot of times that translates to, well, we just hide it, and, we don't talk about that. So it's talking about it, but maybe it's not even just talking about it. It's wrapping your head around it and having understanding, being able to, because there's so many things that are, beneath the surface that we don't. And Chiron in Aries has been really good about bringing that out. These things that have been beneath the surface. And so, we are, and it's trining the South Node, and it's trine to it, to the exact trine, which is a stronger aspect. That's why, for non-astrology people, a trine is, like, I would say, a stronger aspect than a sextile. It's the same fire energy. So to the Sagittarius energy, that's ninth house, that's spiritual enlightenment, spiritual awakening, higher knowledge, understanding things from the highest vantage point, you know, from an esoteric, you know, being the eagle instead of the mouse. I always use that analogy, you know, because the mouse can be the Mercury running around thinking, busy, doing, you know, we're always doing, and then while you're in that zone, you can't see that you know, the eagle soars above that and sees all. You can't see that the eagle's about ready to pounce on you, for one, but not to put, you know, inject more fear, but, you know, that eagle energy sees the mouse and sees the whole world, you know, from that higher perspective. And that Uranus energy, the Uranian, you know, that eagle, that soaring higher. I don't know if eagle is exactly true for there, because each one, you know, each sign has an animal totem assigned to it or whatever. Well, I do know that Aries is, I believe, the falcon, another raptor bird that would soar high, but you get my drift. I think eagle is Scorpio, actually. The highest expression of Scorpio. Let me get a drink of water real quick. Excuse me, yeah. But this is, you know, the Sagittarius. By looking, the South Node is looking at our past. And through looking at our past through the lens of the Sagittarian energy, or through the lens of the eye of the eagle, you know, well, the Sagittarius is half man, half horse. We can get into that, but I'm just talking about Sagittarius being the highest knowledge, you know. That's always, hopefully, the way to go, you know. We don't want to revert back to, because with the Chiron and Aries too, and the Gemini both, there's a positive and negative in every sign, and the downside can be the childishness, you know. You can sometimes revert back to this real childish, well, get into bickering and childish, you know, be not interested in any resolution or resolve, only interested in, you know, being having the better comeback to the argument, you know. Where the Sag energy and the Uranian energy is like, let's resolve this and get to the next level, you know. We don't have to stay in this lower vibration any longer, you know. And sometimes the negative expression of some of these other energies can be fighting against that highest expression, wanting to stay in the you know, in the snarl of it is what I want to say. That's not really the right term. But what I think about is like a lot of these shows, like these reality shows, and I mean, I know a lot of people like them, but it's really beyond me how that's entertainment. You know, that's not entertaining to me at all. And that's, you know, this squabbling and or just people who, in general, and forget about television, in social media and in society, where like they film themselves fighting, you know. And it's just like, you know, it's negative attention. It's trying to get negative attention. And why not, you know, why not try to get attention for the positive things? Everybody has something positive, you know, to offer in this world, or some kind of positive, you know, people think, well, I'm just this or I'm just that. I don't have any positive thing going on. So, you know, like something is that what you're proud of? That you're going to go jump some girl in a bathroom and film it? I mean, that kind of stuff is just, to me, just, ugh. It's so sad. I don't get angry about it. I just get really saddened by it. And it's just like, this is what it's a cry for attention. It's a plea for attention. And getting negative attention through bad behavior, you know, or the lowest common denominator of behavior, you know, of picking a fight, you know, or messing with somebody, you know. Well, you know, find something positive too. And I'll be the first person to say, wow, that's great, and cheer you on, you know. Even if it's something that doesn't interest me in the least, you know, like maybe you're into, I don't know what. I'm just looking out my window. Yeah, maybe everything outside of it I'm interested in, though, in nature. All right, well, maybe you're into how computers work and technology and microchips in the computer and you know, and, you know, I'd say, man, I have zero interest in that, and You know, that's nothing that have a propensity towards, or it's a, but I'll say, man, that's so great. You know, you are so, that's Uranian. That's technology. That's so great that you're so knowledgeable about that, and there's got to be something. There's got to be something. There's got to be something positive that you can do. And I feel like being an audience for that, even if it's if you're trying to be when you get if you see stuff like, if you watch those TV shows, I mean, a lot of people like them, and I'm not telling you not to watch them, but or if you watch this, make this viral, make a video go viral when people are like using the bunch of girls jumping another girl and beating the crap out of her in a thing, even if it's you're saying, oh, they're so these horrible girls did this. It's horrible. There was one recently at an airport. There was a big fight at an airport. That was one I just happened to see recently. All these people were beating each other up. It's like, and even if you post like, what a bunch of assholes, or oh, that they're so, by posting it, you're still escalating it. You're not. That's not. By being angry about it and creating a, you're escalating the energy even more. You're not. It's not a resolve of that. So maybe we could find something good happening at an airport to counteract the energy. I mean, I don't know that I even have the solution, but I know that that's not helping anything. I know that that's not helping anything. And I know that the people in there, and many times, I don't know any of them personally, but many times people who partake in this stuff, it's because they feel like they don't have anything positive to contribute, or maybe their life, I don't know if they think their life seems hopeless. That's a little extreme, but their life seems like that's the best they have to offer. That's what they'll get noticed for. And I think we could start with, who knows, maybe starting with even young children. Noticing what they, not paying attention to that, not giving them the attention they're seeking. Not giving that kind of behavior. Maybe it's not them, I'm not like them, they. But not giving that behavior the attention that it's seeking. That's just something that I seem to see more and more of somehow lately. I just seem to see more and more of that stuff. Or I saw one this morning still fighting about the football players kneeling, and I don't even know what the hell that was even about, because I just don't even care at all. But get over it, all right? Who cares? Is that, negative. So Tauruses aren't overly negative, really, and the Taurus energy is not. It's about planting seeds. So let's think about what kind of seeds that we are planting. Let's plant seeds of empowerment with Lilith. Let's plant seeds of enlightenment with Uranus. These are the kinds of things that we probably want to plant at this time. Yeah, Saturn's been trying the node. By the way, I'm open for those solstice readings. A lot of people are ordering. A lot of you I know order them every time, and I'm really grateful for that. They order all my quarterly, but these are the most popular readings that I do. And if you want an astrology transit reading from me, a psychic astrology transit reading, this is the one. That's the only time I do this, is during these quarterly check-ins during these ingress readings. So we're open for the solstice reading, but that we get into a lot of that. The Saturn will be trining the node at that time, and the Saturn squaring the Uranus, and how that might affect you personally. These are some ongoing transits that are happening right now. But just like looking at it, the Saturn trine the North Node from a the collective perspective quickly, it's just what I was talking about. Saturn is in Aquarius. It's in the ruling planet of the sign of Uranus, of Aquarius here. So Saturn in Aquarius, it's still that push-me-pull-you thing, because Saturn wants to ground things again, and Uranus wants to fly, like everything we were just talking about earlier. But Saturn, it's an imperative. Saturn and the node are karmic and fated, and it's an imperative. We must do this at this time. It's not like, well, maybe we'll do it. It's like we're being called to. And then this is like hearing the call. You know, the Mercury is you're hearing the call. You're hearing the call to take a different approach. You're hearing the call to change your thoughts and your action. You're hearing the call to go more into the Sagittarian higher consciousness perspective of things rather than your default. A lot of times the Mercury in third house is your default thing where you just turn the tape on and start talking. You know, like your pat answers, your quick comebacks, you know, your things that you just, you know, you say, you've always said your whole life and you keep saying them over and over again. So this is an opportunity to say things differently, to think before you speak, to bring in your higher consciousness and not just go with a pre-programmed pat answer response that you always say. Well, blah, blah, blah. Nah, 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 blah, 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 blah. My chair is making a noise, wobbling. I hope that's not bothering you guys. But anyways, there's other stuff probably that I'm missing. There always is. I get off of these readings, it's like, and I go listen to other people's readings, like, oh, I totally missed that. I totally missed something. Jupiter's about to talk about missing things. And I did the May Tarot forecast, and I totally missed that we're having an eclipse at the end of the month. And I totally missed that Jupiter's about to dip into Pisces for a while, which I like that because I have Jupiter in Pisces natally. It's not going to quite get to my Jupiter return, but I'm like, come on, Jupiter, bring it on, baby. I'm looking forward to it. I just had my Saturn return, and I'm looking. Many people get their Jupiter return before or during their Saturn return, and mine's coming like a little after, you know. So I'm hoping to bring that blessing energy with it, you know. But because I don't have my Maynard calendar, that's what it is. If anybody knows a substitute for the Maynard, I mean, I know there's the Llewellyn. But the Llewellyn, the print is really fine and small and hard to see. You know, I really miss my Maynard calendar. They stopped making them a few years ago, but then he was still offering the PDF downloads, and I was ordering those and printing them. But I'm just not used to looking at these other I have all these different astrology calendars and apps and everything, and there's nothing that, you know, because I've been using the Maynard for I don't know how many years, you know, since the 90s at least, you know, so 25, 30 years. I'm so used to looking at it that way. That's my, you know, and I'm missing all sorts of stuff. So I missed it when I didn't. Sorry if you watched the May things. I didn't bring up the eclipses. I'll probably bring them up in June because there's another eclipse in June, and discuss the May eclipse. And I totally didn't even discuss how Jupiter's going into Pisces in the May readings because I just don't have a calendar that I'm in sync with. Talk about programming your mind. I've been looking at that Maynard calendar for all those years, and that just it clicks for me. So if anybody, leave it in the comments if you have another calendar, especially if you're a Maynard user and you found another calendar that you can use, even if it's an app maybe that I'm not aware of, or a website or whatever. It could be digital, anything. Please leave it in the comments. Again, I am opening for the solstice readings if you're interested in that. I want to thank you all for tuning in and to my readings, and if I have a bunch of journals and stuff, some new stuff available, check out my website or the links below if you want to support me in other ways and maybe get something nice for yourself. And I have the painting classes, which also incorporate a lot of astrology, and the latest Tamza one is actually incorporates astrology and palmistry and stuff too. So it's really cool. If the stress is getting to you, I find that the painting is really, really relaxing. So check that out if you're interested. Okay, remember that you are love and beauty incarnate. Have the best new moon in Taurus, and I'll speak to you again soon. Bye.